In today's episode of the Pathway Presents podcast, I got a very interesting guest here with me today. I'm with Madie Riley, and she's hailing over from the folks over at Boostlingo. She's a director of communications, and today we want to really deep dive on how basically Boostlingo helps teams to provide language access. As simple as that, right? So how they reimagine interpretation and how organizations can leverage Boostlingo to boost their operations. So, Madie, welcome to the show.
Hey.
Yeah, so maybe give us a quick overview, 360 perspective. What is Boostlingo all about in your own words?
So Boostlingo is an interpretation technology company. So we basically cover every part of interpretation that you're going to need to do online, but we also help with on-site events. Before Boostlingo was on the scene, virtual interpretation didn't really have a single solution. It was hard to get interpreters into a video room in a way that was nice for the interpreters and for the people who needed their services. And so Boostlingo provides that on-demand interpretation. People can just press a button and get connected. And then we also have interpretation management solutions for people who provide interpretation. And then we do multilingual events with chats, polls, translated slides. So everything that you need for your audience to engage in their own language in a multilingual event, including interpretation, that's what Boostlingo provides.
Very cool. Makes a whole lot of sense. Now, which types of organizations benefit the most? Can you characterize a little bit the organizations and companies that would be a great fit for Boostlingo?
So we have a few buckets. We sell to basically anybody who needs interpretation. And so as the world gets more global, that list of who needs it is increasing. One sector that I really love and am passionate about is our healthcare. In the United States, we have the idea that language access is a civil right. So if you are in a healthcare setting, you're supposed to be able to have access to translated documents, and you're also be able to have access to a medical interpreter who can let the doctors know what is going on in your own words, right? They're not an advocate. They should just be telling the doctors exactly what you're saying. So for me, with virtual interpretation, I grew up in a rural area where we had maybe 25,000 people, right? And so there wouldn't have been an interpreter around for a language, say like Russian, right? And so Boostlingo makes it possible for places where there would never have been language access before for us to bring in a virtual interpreter and suddenly change that interaction. And so for me, that's something I'm really passionate about. And I know the whole team is really excited about the way that we've really spread in healthcare in the past couple of years. It's a big net positive, I think.
Mm-hmm. And who would you say within those healthcare organizations, for example, who brings Boostlingo into the conversation? Like who's the internal champion typically?
So there's a couple of different types of organizations, right? You're going to have somewhere where you have a medical group, right? And you have lots of different practices that are all under one umbrella. We're going to be talking to a chief operating executive. So they're going to be somebody who has an MHA, probably a PhD. They are that really high level executive that is super smart and is going to be thinking about solutions for an entire organization. And then we also have, just one provider shops where the doctor knows that they need this for compliance. And so they are going to get a package with this as well. And maybe they're not going to use it as often. It's not going to be part of their like language access plan. Whereas those bigger organizations have to have a lot more rigidity around how they provide this.
Very cool. Now, what role would you say does the website play in people getting to know Boostlingo? Maybe tell us a bit about the buyer's journey, sort of the key channels that people go through, and then the role of the website.
Interesting. We actually have a huge word of mouth funnel. That's where probably 50% of our leads come, which is awesome. People love using Boostlingo. We have an NPS of 72 for our end users. And so what we find is most of the traffic to the site is direct traffic, people typing in boostlingo.com or people searching Boostlingo, right? And so the website really is just a place for them to confirm what they've already heard, right? And so we have solutions-based menus. So we say, like, if you're a healthcare provider, this is the page for you, right? And so we see a lot of traffic going straight from boostlingo.com to that healthcare page and then straight to a quote. The buyer's journey is pretty short for those direct traffic people. And then we also get a lot of organic search that generates a lot of traffic on the site.
That makes sense. Now, every marketer that we had on the show somehow always finds it's a bit critical with their own website always, right? They always find something to improve. So what would you say sort of is a major strength of the website at the moment for Boostlingo versus where do you see room for further improvement even?
Absolutely. I think the website right now is very navigable. So people are able to find what they need. And we've made a lot of changes in this last year so that they can really get down into the solutions. And we've seen a higher conversion rate because of that. So I'm really proud of that update that we've made. And the next goal for me is to increase the amount of time that people are on the site. So I think that is our biggest weakness is that once they get there, um, unless they are already convinced that this is what they need, there's not a ton of video content or case studies or graphics or whatever to download for them. So I just really want to increase the amount of resources that are available to specific industries whenever they come on our site. So somebody hits that healthcare page, I really want to have 5 minutes of content for them to dig through. And so that's a big initiative we're working on right now.
Oh, very cool. I mean, it's a very interesting angle actually to think about because I think a lot of people wonder why the journey is relatively short on the website. But if the content isn't there, that's often the answer. Very good. Makes a whole lot of sense. Now, what have you learned as a marketer over the years, right? When it comes to actually driving those quote requests, those signups, is there any technologies, approaches, methods that you found helpful in that regard?
I think that designing the pages to where they're intuitive, right? So thinking about above the fold, I come from yearbook. So like what is the first thing that somebody sees whenever they hop onto your site? Are they immediately able to see where they can request a quote? Are they immediately able to get the gist of what they're looking at, right? If they're going to have to scroll through an entire page before they know what you do, most people aren't going to do that, right? And so giving them that bite-sized info at the top of the page, giving them a way to get connected, right? Even if that's not what they're clicking, at least they know that you're thinking about their journey on your website. And then also, I think that being as specific as you can with the people you're trying to reach out to, right? A lot of people want to cast a wide net because you want to try and just get as many leads as possible, right? And so you want to say, like, let's be as general as possible. But if you put the time into making really specific answers to really specific questions for those personas that are coming to your site, you're going to see a much better conversion rate. You're going to see people who are maybe even at the top of the funnel that can move down the funnel just by going onto your website because they've gotten the information that they need. And so I think that trying to be really specific and think about what the buyer needs when they get to your page is going to really enhance that user experience.
Makes a whole lot of sense. Now, I would love to switch gears a little bit, right? We talked about what you guys are doing. We talked about how you're thinking about growth and the digital journey as well. Now, I would love to talk about your role and sort of in communications. What do you find, like, where do you like to educate yourself, right? Because there's so much content out there from marketing to PR to communications, everything. Like, where do you find valuable content for yourself to educate yourself?
So I'm definitely a LinkedIn nerd. I am one of those people that like follows all of the LinkedIn influencers and is learning from them. I will spend time scrolling on the weekend seeing what people have had success with. So I think that peer-to-peer mentorship is super valuable, especially in the SaaS space, because we're really learning how things are changing. For me, Google Ads has seen a dwindling return on investment, right? And being able to go into the LinkedIn feed and see how one, other people are experiencing this too. So it's not really our problem in general, but being able to see how they're addressing it and how they're, optimizing their channels is great. And then I also do LinkedIn Learning. I will definitely, if I need a refresher or want some more ideas, I'll go through and just spend, 2 hours watching one of their training courses because I am a nerd. But yeah, and then I also subscribe to like Reagan Communications and a few different marketing blogs. So I'm getting ideas from a wide source of people.
Very cool. I got some rapid fire questions to wrap it up for today and to get to know you and your journey a little bit better. Are you ready for those?
Yes, I am.
What is the last book that you read?
Oh, I am reading Peter F. Hamilton's sci-fi series. I just finished up his Salvation series. It's evangelical aliens who come to Earth in the future. So, yeah, I feel personally very nerdy saying that aloud to you, but it was really good.
Very good. What is one single thing that your company is focused on the most at the moment?
We're focused on really optimizing the user experience and making it as easy as possible to use our applications. And so that starts from the website on our side, but also our dev teams and our operation teams and our account management teams are really focused on making sure that we get as many people using the platform that have subscriptions as possible.
If there would be no boundaries in tech, right? So you have a magic wand. What's the one thing that you would fix for your role in marketing today?
Ooh, I think if there was just a way for me to talk to customers, just go to their offices, right, and have a chat over some coffee so that I can really pick their brains about how they found us, what's important to them. That face-to-face interaction just is so important. And I love virtual tech. I'm so happy we have it. But if I could just transport over to their offices and talk to them, that would be amazing.
Mm-hmm. And for the very last question, I would like to do a bit of time travel. Let's go back to the days of University of Texas at Austin. So you're heading out of formal education into the world of, growth and business and the likes. What would be the one advice that you would give yourself for your journey?
Oh, that is such a good question. I think I was so worried that things wouldn't work out. I was a comms major, and at the time when I was graduating in 2014, there was just uncertainty about is communications going to be a thing? There are jobs being lost. And so I think I would just say get really good at what you do, become a jack of all trades, and just enjoy learning, and don't worry about feeling like you have to be on one set path because it's going to work out. You're going to find a place where you can use all of this experience. It's going to be okay.
Nice. I like that very positive outlook. That's pretty good. So, Madie, I really enjoy that you're having on the show. So I want to give you the very last word. If somebody would be forgetting all that we discussed about Boostlingo, what's the one thing that people should remember?
I think that my one thing is that interpretation is easier than ever now. There's more ways to get connected. And so there's not really the excuse of a language barrier keeping us apart. There are ways for us to cross that together. And so that's exciting to me. I think that it opens up a whole new possibility for how we connect.
Madie, thanks a lot for being a guest on Pathing Presents.
Thank you for having me.